If you lose your job, no matter how long or how much you have paid into the system, as we call it, into national insurance, into income tax, no matter how long you've been paying it or how much you have paid, you will only be able to claim your full entitlements for 4 weeks until you are required essentially to accept any job that is available. You'll have your benefits cut sooner if you do not consider sectors battling staff shortages in a plan to get 500,000 more into work. So let us say that you've been working as an accountant, or you've been working in marketing, or you have been working in, for the fishing fleet of this country, or maybe in one of those car factories that we've just learnt are now producing fewer cars than at any point since 1956. Quick caveat and reminder, everybody knew exactly what they were voting for, and all the talk about collapses in manufacturing and industry was all hashtag Project Fear. So you've spent your life working on a fishing trawler, or working as an accountant, or working in marketing, and you lose your job, having decades of paying into the system, the safety net. And after 4 weeks, you're not allowed to continue looking only for jobs that you're qualified to do. You're going to have to go and work in a care home. Allow me one moment of suggesting that if you've lost your job, if you voted for Brexit and you've lost your job, I don't think I'm going to lose much sleep at the thought of you being forced into a job that you really don't want to do, because you brought this entirely upon yourself. But for the rest of the country, for people who were either misled or it's just rank, I think it's rank, isn't it? And here's another thing that I think is worth mentioning at this point in the conversation. Always trust people more who are concerned about the interests of others more than the interests of themselves. So I don't think this will affect me, for example, not unless LBC come to their senses sooner than it can be reasonably expected. I don't think this will affect me. And even if it does, I would be able to afford to sit tight for a while, waiting for and looking for a job that suits my background and experience. So, I'd have a few quid in the bank to sustain a period of job seeking beyond the 4 weeks that I'd be supported by the state for. So this isn't going to affect me. I think that this is perhaps my search for simple things to understand. I think this is perhaps the heart of cracking the nut of politics designed to encourage people to vote against their self-interest. Always trust people who seem to be sticking up for people that aren't them. They seem to be sticking up for others. I always trust them more than the other kind, the ones who are introducing policies designed to make other people's lives worse in the hope that enough people will cheer it to effect some sort of political survival. So, 12 minutes after 10 is the time. Simple enough question. What do you think of this? At the moment, you have 3 months to find a job in your preferred sector, after which, any job now, that's the bit in quotes, under the new proposal, you will have 4 weeks. I always think of my late father at this point, when he was made redundant by the Daily Telegraph and went to what was then the job centre, and I was embarrassed. I was a kid, and it was embarrassing. I associated the job centre with people not like us. I don't know whether I was a snobby kid or whether I was just a bit shallow or whether I was actually doing nothing particularly wrong. But he sat me down, as he always did when I was troubled by stuff, and he talked me through it. And he simply told me that he'd paid, since the age of 15, he'd paid into the system that is there to support people when they have a period of unemployment. Not only that, but back then, signing on allowed you access to various schemes and facilities that you wouldn't necessarily have at your disposal at home. I think the internet has probably changed that, although not everybody's going to have the internet at home. And at the end of that conversation, as was often the way when my dad sat me down, I had seen the world from a completely different perspective, and I'd seen the world in a completely different light. And I came to see Social Security as precisely that, social security. I don't know whether I'd fallen for a Thatcherite portrayal of it as scrounging, or whether I thought it was beneath us or something like that, but I came to see it as something rather wonderful. And then, of course, as I got older and I learned more about the creation of the welfare state, I came to understand that it was actually a thing of beauty, which is why so many right-wing people hate it. It's an act of almost perfect socialism, which, of course, has been successfully turned into a very dirty word. We all pay into it, and those who need it take out of it, which traditionally people, the more right-wing you are, the more you hate that. And of course, the more stupid you are, the more likely you are to vote for it, despite the fact that you're more likely to benefit from it than the people who are encouraging you not to like it. Are you still with me at the back? So I've always seen it as a safety net. And what they've done in the course of my lifetime, certainly in the course of my career here, what they've done is turn it into, in the eyes of many, via tabloid journalism, into a trampoline. So people have been persuaded to believe that if you're unemployed and you're claiming social security, which is what we should call it, not benefits, social security, security within a society, if you're unemployed and you're claiming social security, you must be a wrong'un or a scrounger. How many times have people phoned this programme to describe their straitened financial circumstances and felt compelled to insist at all turns that they are in work, or that they don't claim this, or that we've turned it into something wrong, something squalid, something dirty, and it really isn't. You're always going to have people taking advantage of any system that is designed to help. You're always going to have people doing that, but you don't take them as the litmus test of the entire scheme. You just don't. So I worry, having broken pretty much everything they've come into contact with, having abolished freedoms, having plans in place to abolish some of the most basic tenets of a free society, getting rid of the right to protest publicly, getting rid of our freedom of movement, getting rid of, even the citizenship rules that are on the way are pretty gross. All they do is break things. And now they seem to be taking yet another bite out of our once magnificent welfare state. It's bizarre that we go along with it, because who knows when they're going to need it? Who knows when they're going to need it? You set fire to the safety net, you fall, there's nothing to catch you.